Institute of Journalism and CEO of Now Corporation, Mr. Mel Velarde. Let us all welcome him on stage.
Good morning to all, especially to the, what would be a good adjective for Dr. Cora Claudio, indefatigable. Pagod na kaming lahat, boundless energy pa siya. Also to the Secretary of the UST, Boy, we met each other also almost 25 years ago. Of course, our Flag Officer in Command of the Philippine Navy, palakpakan po natin, Vice Admiral Robert Integrad. Of course, the person who we first met today, the Chairman of the Board and President of CSY NFPI, Eduardo Ed Santos, also Vice Admiral. Siya po retired, ngayong nasa education na. Carlos Agustin and Ito Carlos. Of course, I want to greet a fellow whom we consider as a youth leader and became a globally respected Filipino statesman. I met him in 1971-72. I was an 8-year-old photographer with my father, Meliton Velarde, who was blind, got blind after Concon. I'm referring to Senator Ejerson Alvarez, who at a very early age already showed his commitment to freedom and democracy. And after many years, I met him in Washington, and he proved to be the moving force of the movement for free Philippines. And of course, the only person who would perhaps surpass him is his wife, Commissioner Cecil Guidote Alvarez. Good morning to all. You will ask, what are we doing with a mobile Naval Museum? What for? And that should be asked today. Because if it is not properly answered, we might exert so many days and so much of our time for the wrong purpose. And let me answer that question in my short talk. But before that, let me give you a story of this map. When the Philippines filed a case at the UNCLOS, United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, when our islands were taken over by a dominant, bullying neighbor. Justice Antonio Carpio, Senior Associate Justice, talked to many owners of private museums and said we need a map. Our country never had a map that would show these islands and rocks that we claim, by virtue of our memory, depending on what your age is, to be ours. So who could probably say Panatag is ours and Spratly Islands are ours? And so, Justice Carpio, after receiving a negative answer from the private museums, approached his friend, the poorest among his rich friends, and said, Mel, hey, you are a Velarde. You may be related to Father Pedro Murillo Velarde. I said, Tony, di ba pare yan? Precisely! Yeah. Of course, he was joking. But this is the only map, all of you are listening today, the only map that was given to us at the right time. Almost 300 years ago, the King of Spain ordered the Governor-General of this archipelago, which was at their time by force and coercion under their jurisdiction, to create a map. Because the king wants to see what does he really own far, far away, across the Atlantic, across the Pacific, called Philippines. Father Murillo Velarde, who was a young Jesuit priest, I saw his face in Loar, Spain. I visited there 3 times. He had big, chubby cheeks. And I said, mukha yatang kamag-anak ko to. But he was the one who worked with the natives, who many years ago were already drawing how Romblon looked like, how Cebu, how Mindanao and Ilocos. So he talked to them and worked with the natives without Google Earth, without GPS. But they followed the stars at night and they drove their horses and navigated with their small vehicle, vessel, bangkas around the country. And Nicolas Bagay was able to the one who did the engraving after Francisco Suarez, two Indios, early Filipinos, worked with Father Murillo Velarde to draw the sovereign islands, which we call now indigenously Filipinos, ours and ours alone. And it came at the time when we bought this. And Justice Carpio said, Mel, there's an auction in London. Maybe 30,000 pounds, maybe 50,000 pounds. Siguro mga 2 million lang yan. So you buy it, and then when we win, don't bid more than 5 million because it's too much. When we win, we go back to the Philippines, we convince National Museum to buy it back at cost. I said, good. Kung mga 5 million yan, I checked the contents of our refrigerator, pwede pa, sabi ko. But somebody else, some other Asians were bidding, it reached to 13 million pesos. I disobeyed him. After the 5 million, I was carried away. So we had to win it at 13 million, and we donated it now to the Philippine government, which became the #1 historical evidence that Panakot, which is there in that map, look at it after this program, because it is yours. It is Scarborough Shoal. And the Spratly Islands, look at the map. It's called Bao de Paragua. It is yours. And when this map, Naval Museum, would travel to the different provinces and coastal communities, even the mountainous areas, what is the message of this Naval Museum? We better agree that the message is simple, is to instill in them their love of country, is to remind them that God loved us so much that He gave us this land and seas and the contents under the seas, and He precisely chose the Filipinos to own these islands and rocks. And then this museum go, every young Filipino then, we will reinstill it in their DNA and remind them that love of country should be #1 in your heart, in your mind. There will be no problem about this trash thing. That's detail and mechanics. Wala yan. There will be no problem about cutting of trees. No. All of that will be automatically solved by one virtue. It's the love of country. I may not have all the money in the world. I thought I sold that yacht. No, I still have that yacht, that Lorraine, in order to buy that yacht. But there are many ways to show our love of country. And the proud men and women of the Philippine Navy, compared to them, my contribution is nothing, for you risk your life each day for the country that you also love. That is precisely why we have here the launching of our Naval Museum. And please extend to the youth that you go that you are a blessed and proud country. The Americans have to commit the widest extermination of indigenous people so that they will have a land called America. And they call their land of the free and the home of the brave. But we are the land of the free and the home of the brave. I salute you and congratulate you. May God be blessed with you, and fair winds to this Naval Mobile Museum. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Velarde, for your message.